these unknown people. Let me put some names on the screen. There we go. Now we know who everybody is. So how you doing today, Mr. Salama?
Maybe. It's a beautiful rainy day here in the south.
Yeah, we're getting rain later this afternoon, so we'll be right there with you.
Are you
Just
getting that snowstorm too, or something like that, or am I just daydreaming?
you bite your tongue with that
Oh,
S word. We're done with that.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
fortunately, here on the island, we get a lot of protection from the ocean, warms up the weather. So
Yeah.
usually the snow line is like just above us.
Lucky you guys.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit is nice, but if I start feeling like I'm living in Colorado at the ski resort or something, then I get a little antsy.
Got it. Yes.
All right. Good morning, Sensei John. So we got a great topic for you guys today. We're going to be talking about branding, but probably not the way that most of you are used to thinking about the concept. Um, Tim's getting those snow flurries. You can keep them. Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday. They're all yours. um, so one of the benefits of a Skillz membership is the fact that you can co-brand at the higher levels of membership. So our silver, gold, and gold lifetime members can use aspects of the Skillz brand right alongside their own brand. And what this does is it makes you part of something bigger. You get to now say that you are part of an organization that is in, just about every continent, dozens of countries, and you are the expert in your area. So it's pretty powerful. But I think, when John and I look around at everybody, because we stalk all of you guys, we see that sometimes that branding has become this idea of, well, I put skills in my marketing, and I say child development, and I've got the ninja on my door, so everybody knows I'm a skills school, and it kind of stops there. So we want to dig into a little bit more than that, because while that is part of branding, I think that's more just your brand identity. It's like the clothing that you wear is not you. So we want to dig in a little bit today. And I came across this idea yesterday. I can't remember where, because I was doing a lot of research for today's show. Uh, and it was this idea that a brand is the image of your customer that you put in front of them that shows them the best self they already want to be. So it has really nothing to do with us, and it's all about making them feel like they've accomplished something before it. And it made me think of Harley Davidson.
Hmm.
In New York, there are something like 3,000 Harley Davidsons registered every year. But there are 3,000 people just in my town walking around with a Harley Davidson wallet, a Harley Davidson jacket, a Harley Davidson sticker on the back of their truck, um, Harley Davidson bandanas, and they're even out there riding Hondas and sport bikes wearing Harley Davidson things. Why? Because the brand makes them believe in a certain feeling they have about themselves, that they're independent, tough, strong, lone wolf, whatever it is that it makes them feel. It's not about the shield and bars, they call it, the logo. It's not about the name. It's about, man, if I get that Harley jacket, what does that say about me? So John, this was a great topic that you came up with. Let's dig into it.
Well, again, like you mentioned a lot of people feel like the brand is going to be on my door. The brand is going to be on, my uniform. The brand is going to be this thing that people are going to see, right? But let's face it, um, as amazing as that brand is, um, you also tapped on it already. It has literally the customer who's walking in the door doesn't even know what that brand is. You know, I don't mean this with any disrespect, because you know how we feel about Skillz, but the customer that walks in the door doesn't know what Skillz is unless we educate them about Skillz. The customer that walks in the door could care less what your rank is, right? So they could care less who your team are, or what kind of degree your team has or what kind of education your team has. All they care about is one thing and one thing only. It's how they're going to feel and how they're going to enjoy themselves in your environment. In other words, your brand has to be whatever relationship you're going to have with those people, right? And again, just like getting into a relationship with somebody, that first impression is going to determine everything. Of course, that first impression is going to have to be about the way you speak the brand.
Yeah, I love that you brought that, like the way that you speak. So usually we think of like the brand as, the trade dress or, even how it makes you feel, but it like has to be conveyed in more ways than just your advertising. When you walk into, John's school or my school, it drips Skillz, because that's our part of our brand.
Mhm.
You know, maybe we have other programs running or other offerings, but that's a huge part of our brand. So it's not even just the pictures we have on the wall or the way we talk about what we do. It's the way we talk about everything. It's the words that we're using, the education that we have to back it up. Um, the things that we put on our walls in addition to maybe the graphics show what's important to us. So I don't have all of my rank certificates up on the wall. Those things are important to me, but if my brand is an educational facility, what's more important to me to convey to my customer is Heidi's degree in education or my degree in occupational science. So those things are up on the wall because those are important to our brand message.
Yes, yes. Or, hint, 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 our certification in, being a certified child development expert,
Yeah,
pediatric
so
ninja specialist.
total shameless plug. Today's show is brought to you by the Certified Ninja Pediatric Ninja Specialist course. There's a link there in the comments. I'll pop it up on the screen just so you know what it looks like there, where you can check out all about it. So it is a teacher training program. It doesn't teach you what to teach, but more how to teach and leverage the
Yes.
science and psychology of what we use. Um, and if we just look at it as how do I make my teachers better, it's really powerful. But when you can leverage stuff like this as part of my brand, where I can now directly use the knowledge, I can talk about the role of neurotransmitters, theories of motivation. I can talk about stages of development, parent skills, teaching skills, all these different things that go into what I do. It's not just a poster on the wall anymore. It's part of my conversation and it becomes part of my daily interactions. So that is now your brand to the point where now when I put up something about my facility, people know that I have solutions, and it makes them feel better knowing that I'm in their corner. That's my brand, I think, is the solution to the fears that we all have as parents. When we think about, is my child good enough, smart enough, fast enough? Are they going to be okay? That's what I think about.
Absolutely. I mean, when parents come to you and talk to you about some of the deepest issues they may have with the children, or a parent comes to you and talks to you about, by the way, the school counselor at school suggested that we get a, a therapist or find somebody that can talk to my little Johnny about this. Are you having those same issues in class? And I'm like, no. And they're like, so why are they suggesting that? I was like, well, they're too busy dealing with the other kids in the class. They're forgetting to connect and be in tune with your child. So of course, your child is acting out or your child is doing this. And that's very normal because your teacher is constantly shutting them up. So when you're not allowing them to speak and you're suppressing their emotions, well, if you're going to suppress their emotions, they're going to sit there, build up all this energy, build up all this anger because they want to speak their mind and they want to tell you how they really feel, but you're not allowing them. So therefore, during recess, guess what they're going to do? They're going to act out. And that mother stood in front of me and she was like, that's exactly what he's doing at school. Now,
Yeah.
I don't have a teaching degree. You know what I mean? But what we have is the brand. What we have is the systems. What we have are the understanding of the stages of development, understanding what's happening at every single class, every single age group. We connect and we become in tune with every single child. That allows us to be the lending ear to the parents to kind of comfort them. But at the same time, I let her know, by the way, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor. So maybe finding somebody would help you, but I don't feel like it's necessary. But you got to listen to your counselor at school because they may know a thing or two that I don't know. You see how we approach that? Um,
And I like that because, very often if I look back a little bit in my own history, even, I used to think of my brand as what it was that I taught. So I was a kung fu guy, right?
mhm.
So my brand was, oh, we're all a bunch of Shaolin monks, and that did attract a certain amount of people that wanted to be that. But really, I think that's, as I look at it now, that's more my product. So if your product becomes your brand, and nothing against Chevy or Ford or any of the regular brands, but if I ask you what kind of car you drive, and you drive a Fiesta or a Corolla or um, a Focus, all right, so you're focusing now on that product as like, well, that's the big thing, and that tells me that you just need a place, thing to get you from A to B. People who have big, powerful brands, usually the brand is associated with the product. So you don't just say, well, I drive a Testarossa or a Veyron or a Carrera. You say, I drive a Porsche Carrera. I drive a Bugatti Veyron. So the brand itself lends the power to the product, not vice versa. Bugatti could put out a stinking moped and somebody would pay $1 million for it because it's a Bugatti.
Mhm.
Same thing with women's fashion. You could take two handbags and stamp Louis Vuitton on one, and it's worth 10 times as much. It's not about the product, karate, martial arts, jujitsu, whatever. It's not even about child development. It's about what does that brand make you feel. So in John's example, I'm now thinking like, wow, I didn't bring my kid here for karate. I brought my kid here because I know that I have somebody on my side providing solutions, and it makes me feel better as a parent that I just have somebody there to, even if it's just to talk, and,
Yeah.
and it's not an active role. That's
And
John's brand.
and that's the thing, like this was like, after testing, she noticed how her child was in class and stuff like this, and she was like, how was he in class? How does he do in class? I was like, what he did today during the test is the exact same thing as you see during class. And she was like, so he doesn't act out? I was like, well, in the beginning he did, but because we have rules in place and we allow them to speak, but yet we let them know, hey, can you hold that for a second? Can we talk about it at the end of class? But when it comes to the end of class, we do let them talk. We do give them 2 to 3 minutes to express themselves. So we say what we mean and we mean what we say. Where at school, I get it, teachers are busy, don't get me wrong, right? If she allows it for one person, it's going to be hard for her to allow it for like 20 other kids. But I think now, especially more than ever, like we've been screaming for this past year, because of COVID, there is just a whole lot of mental insecurity, for everybody, for kids, for teens, and for adults as well. So this is the time when we need to be able to listen and listen with understanding and be able to express to them a sense of comfort, right? And that's what we do right now as Skill Schools, or if you're going to utilize your brand, right? Don't go into this egotistical, approach about, why you're a 6th-degree black belt, why you've got multiple world championships, why you've been to, I don't know, China, Japan, Korea, and you're trained with these grandmasters for years. They could care less about that. That's not why they brought their kid to you, or that's not why you came and signed up at their studio.
So if we wanted to shift this conversation a little bit, right? Let's say somebody has some of these basic things in place. They've got a nicely designed logo, and they know what their vision and their mission statement is, and they've established maybe their core principles, which is something that will drive your brand. Um, as we start to look at this co-branding idea, especially for Skillz members, um, let's chat about some ways that we can leverage, and we'll use the example of like our schools and Skillz because, well, it's a Skillz channel. But it works with other brands. So if you're part of a franchise or something like that, the same concept works. Um, so what are some, let's talk about some ideas where we can really leverage the power of co-branding beyond just slapping on a ninja and putting Child Development Center under your, whatever your logo is. So what are some of the first steps that you really advise people on when leveraging the Skillz brand to enhance what they're already doing?
Definitely understand the science and psychology behind every single stage. You know what I mean?
John just
Like,
gave you guys homework.
I mean, it's not okay. How does that saying go? It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Like, again, this year alone, in the last 3 months, there's been a ton of lifetime members that signed up. There's been a ton of gold members that signed up, a good number of silver and a good number of bronze. And when we're doing the onboarding calls with them and stuff like this, we walk them through the system and all that good stuff. And then I like to give them a little bit of homework to do and stuff like this. But you can just sense that side, like, wow, I got to do a lot of work. Well, listen, Skillz does make your job easier. Yes. Right? Enjoyable. Yes. But you still have to do a little bit of work. You did not become the black belt that you are overnight. You know what I mean? You did not become the expert in training or kung fu or tai chi or taekwondo overnight, guys. It took you years of training, right? You didn't go from what there was this post. This is a little squirrel moment of in I want to say it's in Korea, right? They are awarding a black belt training in 12 weeks. And everybody went crazy on it. Well, they didn't pay attention to the details. How many hours a day they have to train to obtain that black belt in 12 weeks, right? And it came out to be where I believe they were doing like 8 to 10 hours a day of training for 12 weeks. Well, you guys do the math. When you get your first degree black belt, how many years did it take you? You know what I mean? So,
and without the backsliding in between classes and everything too.
Of course, yeah. So if it's 8 to 10 hours a day, that's 50 hours a week times 12. That's like what, 600 hours within 12
That's like
weeks?
that's 5 to 6 years of training for the average student. Coming
Absolutely.
twice a week.
Absolutely. What was his brand and what was his message? We're going to get you to black belt, in 12 weeks, whatever. Sure. But again, to get back to answering your question, you guys are not going to learn all the stuff simply like this overnight because you feel like you're a black belt. You should be able to understand it all. You got to start somewhere, right? So in order for you to help that brand, that new brand, that Skillz brand, you got to understand the basics first, right? And my first thing with everybody is understanding the science and psychology behind the stages of development. I'm not going to even say brain skills.
Yeah, well, I mean, brain skills and teaching skills are kind of the culmination of the science and psychology of what we do, boiled down into 8 skills, all of which, by the way, you'll learn about in the CPNS course. And I know this is big, and every year Skillz gets bigger with the things that we offer, and I know it can be overwhelming for a new school to come in. So usually my advice, much like John's, is just to start with that one specific thing and recognize that just as your knowledge will grow, your brand should also grow and evolve. If you look at some of the big brands today, when they first started, they don't look the same now that they did. Their logos have been updated, their styles have been updated, where they sell. Look at FUBU by Damon John. That started selling t-shirts like out of his trunk And the only reason it got big is because he cornered LL Cool J in the men's restroom and made him wear one of his shirts in a music video. Like he grew that step by step. And I'm sure that Damon John is not selling t-shirts to other men in the men's room right now. You know, he's evolved, but he started someplace. And you have to kind of do this work to learn about, well, what is it that I want to provide people? And how can I do that better? And how can I get people to associate the end result that hasn't happened yet, the end result, with being in my presence or in my business? You know, when you can make those links, that's what's really powerful. So another thing that we usually recommend with newer Skillz schools is some of our add-on programs like Parent Skillz. Because if you just come to my school and wear my uniform with my logo and then change before you leave, that relationship really only happens for 45 minutes to an hour, once or twice
Yes.
a week.
Yes.
But if I can give you something to take home with you to represent me, wow, how do you get your child to behave? Oh, well, I'm doing this Parent Skillz course. Parent Skillz, what's that? Well, it's this program offered by the development center where I take my child. Now they have something to talk about beyond just a product. They're starting to associate results in their outside life. Just like when I put on that Harley Davidson jacket and walk down, you know, Main Street in Port Jeff is the big biker town up here. You know, if I walk through town wearing a Harley Davidson jacket, people start to associate certain things with me because of what that brand is. The same thing has to happen with our schools. It has to be something that they take home, and it's not just a logo. It's that they take home results to the point where they can almost anthropomorphize it and make it so that it's like, this is a person, right? If your company can become a person with whom they have a relationship, now you've got a brand.
You know, I like how you said take home, because that's the key. That's your brand. You know, I mean, the brand is what is spoken out loud to your parents and to your students. Okay. If you don't put anything on your front door, if you don't put Skillz on the big marquee in your plaza, right? It is the message that's being sent. You know what I mean? And that's very, very important. You know, kind of like, you know, Anna Marcos, you know, the creator of Yoga Skillz, right? You know, she just referred like 3-4 people to our studio from her daughter's school. And it was simple. It was simple because they all went to a gathering at the school and she said, Ty, let's go. And the response was, yes, mommy. And everybody whipped their head around like, and they were like, how do you do that? And Anna's response was very, very like beautiful. She goes, I've got a village behind me that supports me in raising my child. And they were like, what? She goes, yeah. She goes to a martial arts school. And at that martial arts school, they're more of a certified child development center. And when they're working with kids, it's not just about the punches and kicks. It's not about just the respect and the discipline. It is more than that. They teach them life lessons. They teach them character development. But again, like if you've met Ty, like that girl's on point, right? So again, we are sending the message, we are speaking the message to the children, and the same thing to the parents. So at the end of every class, now that we've got, we still have virtual classes. In our virtual classes, at the end of the day, we send them with a message. So you know how we've got our mat chat, but we also have our life skills chat. At the end of every class, you know, we were speaking for maybe a minute or a minute and a half about one of the life skills. Okay, because we've already covered them all. So now we're just going back and, you know, discussing it for the week, right? So 3 parents came in and just signed their kids up just like that.
That's
Again,
all.
the brand is what we speak. It's not just what's on the walls. I mean, decoration is great, you know?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a big part of it. It's just not the only part.
Yes.
So you brought up the fact that people are speaking about it. And this reminds me of something I wanted to mention today. Usually when you think of a brand, you think of the logo.
Yes.
The word logo, for those of you that are you know, deep more into the religious aspects, logo means word.
Yes.
Even though it's a picture, it means word. It comes
Word.
from the
Yes.
Greek logos. So the reason we have logos these days is because at a certain point in history, people couldn't read. So if you named your tavern the Cock and Bull Tavern, you would have a sign with a rooster and a bull out front, and that became your logo. So because it was the words that people couldn't read, but they had to be able to speak. So as people talk about you, you have to give them the logo to be able to speak about. So you'll notice with Skillz, everything is skills. It's parent skills, teaching skills, brain skills, entrepreneur skills. All these things have a consistency in message. The same way that your words have to have consistency in message. So you can't talk about child development and then get caught beating your child in the parking lot. You can't talk about health and fitness and be caught down at the local bar doing keg stands and smoking whatever. You have to have, not that you can't live your life, but you have to live it with a certain consistency in order
Go on
to
vacation and live your life.
yeah, something, right? We're humans. We can have lives. We just have to make sure that those lives are in alignment with what
Yes.
we're espousing. Same thing with your business and your brand. Skillz has a certain reputation, and people know what to associate it with because we make sure that every time you talk about one of our products, you have to say the word Skillz. You can't say, "Oh, I'm taking this parent thing." What thing? Parent skills. It's a course I take. You have to say it. And then everything that we do has a consistency in presentation. 4 categories of development, 8 different skills that we work on. It's the same for everything. So now when people want to talk about me, they're using my name, which happens to also be reflected in our logos. Our logo is our logo. It's reflected in how they describe things. Oh yeah, we got this series of 8 skills that we work on. Well, you said skills again, and now you're starting to talk about how we do things. Because we're so systematized, usually we think about systems as like the things I do in my business every day and that I can pass on to my employees, and I have to write SOPs. And these systems and consistencies also translate to how people are about or are able to talk about your business. Logos is the hieroglyphics of today. In a way, yeah.
Yo, bring back
Although
the ancestors.
look. I mean, actually, a lot of the hieroglyphics are actually our letters from today. When you start looking at like the character for snake in the Middle Egyptian is our N, and you can watch how it was traced from the Phoenicians to the Babylonians all the way through this.
That's a whole different conversation.
Separate hobby of mine. But yeah, good point. It's the hieroglyphics of today.
Yes.
And like even if you go to Asia, where many of our martial arts originated, many people are still illiterate because they don't have an alphabetic system. They have a character-driven system where most people want to speak somewhere between 3 and 20,000 words. How many? That means you have to memorize between 3 and 20,000 characters. It's really hard to do. So they would use a lot of symbolism or simplified characters so the common person can understand it. Same sort of idea. It conveys their brand very simply through having that logo.
Yep.
All right. So first steps, if somebody wants to dig into this, because we're right up here on time, and I'm going to mention one more time that if you want to improve your brand and have something to offer beyond just martial arts, and I'm not denigrating martial arts because it's been very meaningful in my life, but if you really want to practice what you're preaching, really check out the Certified Pediatric Ninja Specialist course. It is in depth.
It's
and
mind
brings
blowing.
It is.
It's mind blowing, and I'd have to say the instructors have done an amazing job, and the rest of the team that's about to teach is about to do another set of amazing, mind blowing.
I hear
content.
they're all really smart and funny and good looking too.
We'll let the people make that judgment.
So yeah, if somebody wanted to really delve into this and take their brand beyond just being the name or the picture on the door, and making it a holistic emotional experience to the people they're talking to, what's one final tip you could give somebody of some place to start, whether they're Skillz members or not?
Oh man, you know what? I'm gonna have to go into the Melody Johnson free tips group and pull up some of the blogs, pull up some of the classes that is being taught, because like the blogs reflect the classes. But you know what? One thing I just thought of as well are the Melody Johnson's break it down pods.
Yeah. So that's something, it's not even really skills, but she maintains brand message through the whole thing.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
you put
and
me
if
on the
I had
spot there.
to, it's been a little while since I did it, and I really love putting you on the spot. That's where we get our best content. And if I had to give you one tip to get started, it would be probably to figure out, I like starting at the end. How do you want your customer or potential customer to feel if they were wearing your school t-shirt? How should that make them feel? And then work backwards to enhance that emotional response all the way back through their membership to the point of they first heard about you, and see how you can put that feeling into every conversation.
Absolutely. I
All
like
right.
that last one.
So if you guys have any questions about this, of course, you can reach out to us. We're available right here on Facebook, or, of course, we do have coaching programs. Shameless plug again, if you want to get a little more personal and in depth with it. But certainly, if you need just some advice and some direction, hit us up. That's why Melody keeps us around, aside from being funny and good looking.
One more thing, since we're mentioning the CPNS course, it starts this coming Monday. Guys, it's a self-paced program. Okay, so it's not like you have to be in front of a computer at a certain time to do it. You can do it, at 6 o'clock in the morning, or you can do it at, midnight. It's about 15 to 20 minutes per day. Okay, but it's loaded. It's loaded with a lot of information. We had a couple of people that signed up last semester, and they're literally almost done with the 3 semesters in 1 semester. Okay. So don't stress out about it. Okay. But you will be mind blown. But it does start this coming Monday, right, Michael? The 5th?
Yeah, first class for the next semester is on Monday.
Yep.
And if you're a couple days late, it'll be hosted on our Skillz University platform. So, if you sign up on Tuesday, you're not missing anything. I do recommend that people try to get in pretty early, though. Otherwise, it can become overwhelming. So take action.
Yeah. So just to let you guys know too, it's the first month there is a course, the second month there is a course, and then the third month is to help you catch up. Okay. So it's not 3 courses, it's 2 courses per semester, but it's crash course month 1, crash course month 2, and then third month you get caught up. In case you run behind.
We do final assessments, enhancements, tips and ideas of how you could leverage it, that sort of thing, because we want you to be successful with it.
Absolutely. Cool.
All right, everybody. Get out there, figure out who you are and how you want people to feel, and make it happen.
Go crush your week, everybody. Peace.
All righty.